Hello, Sergeant Chuck Carlson. Been sworn with the department for 17 years. Although my interactions with the Minneapolis Police Department started much earlier than before I worked for it. I grew up in areas of Minneapolis that you would consider poverty-stricken and violent, predominantly Chicago and Franklin, 15th and Portland. This shaped who I am as an adult and also who I am as a police officer. It drove a desire to serve the community that I grew up in, and I attained that goal by being a Minneapolis police officer. While in high school, I was also a member of the Minneapolis Police Explorers, and upon graduation of high school, I attended University of Wisconsin-Madison. I transferred to the University of Minnesota Twin Cities to make myself more available for the CSO application process. I applied, I was hired, and ultimately finished my education at Normandale Community College. If there's an area of my professional development that needs improvement, I understand that is that of formal education. I have a lot of experience and training that, quite frankly, a lot of people don't within the department, but I am lacking formal education. I do have plans to return to a university and obtain, at a minimum, a bachelor's degree. After I was a sworn police officer, I served in the 2nd and the 4th precinct. I was a member of the Minneapolis SWAT team for 8 years, a member of the Honor Guard unit for 5, and when I became promoted to sergeant, I was also a member of the Minneapolis Mounted Patrol. While I was on patrol work in 4th precinct, I was afforded the opportunity to have an extensive career enrichment in animal crimes. I feel this separates me from other candidates for promotion because I was able to work closely with another city entity, that of Minneapolis Animal Care and Control, and see the nuances of how they managed, how they used resources, and just other avenues in another city department. I feel that oftentimes the MPD operates within a bubble and we don't think outside our own department, and we have an entire city of resources, rules, regulations that a lot of times we're unfamiliar with. You're starting to see the MPD use other city departments more with like the unhoused demobilization encampment details, where when you attend the meetings, there's someone from the department head of every unit in the city, and we're trying to provide more effective professional service to those residents in those camps. I was promoted to sergeant while I was in animal crimes, and after my sergeant rotation and training, I was permanently assigned to sex crimes. This really honed my belief in procedural justice with the aspects of respect and neutrality. In sex crimes, there's not a lot of physical evidence available to you upon the initial investigation, and it forces you to remain neutral so that you don't cause issues in a case later. You can't jump to conclusions. You have to consider all the facts, and if you don't, you're doing a disservice to your victim and the accused. This is something I've carried with me throughout the rest of my supervisor career. I don't rush to judgment. I consider the facts and I look at the big picture. I feel good traits that would make me an effective lieutenant. Also, in regards to respect, in that unit, you're dealing with a tremendously diverse population, whether it comes to sexual orientation, gender identity, ethnic and racial groups. I always treated everyone that I dealt with respect and compassion. I received many positive feedback reports from victims, and they stated that no matter what was occurring with their situation, they felt that I cared and that I treated them with respect. I did 1 year in sex crimes, and then I was transferred to the 1st precinct, where I was now responsible for ensuring a safe downtown bar close. This taught me about delegation, command and control, and managing resources. I had to effectively run the bar close and predict events before they could happen, delegate resources there, and try and ensure a safe evening for all the patrons of the entertainment district. I was then transferred to the 4th Precinct Dog Watch, where I demonstrated my dedication to the city, the community, and the employees I serve. I could have transferred to Day Watch a year sooner, but at the sacrifice of my personal life and my sleep schedule, I stayed on Dog Watch for an additional year. Before I arrived, there had been a lot of sergeant rotation and not much stability. I felt the community would better be served if I set up clear expectations for that shift, set parameters, and let them know what was expected while they were out policing. This helped the shift run more effectively, and I believe helped the community. I then transferred to 4th Precinct Day Watch, which allowed me the opportunity to interact more with the community in pre-planned events. I attended community meetings, I met with business owners, and I forged partnerships with community outreach groups, particularly A Mother's Love. I called them to several of my shooting scenes and watched them interact with the crowd with the updates that I provided, and we were successful in de-escalating several hostile situations, including an officer-involved shooting. I began to rely on them and began to realize how important not just the MPD aspect is, but other avenues within the city and including the community groups. 1 year ago, I was approached and asked to be the SWAT executive officer. I knew that being in control of the SWAT tactical team, the SWAT negotiators, and the SWAT technical team was a daunting task. People tell me all the time that you're in a lieutenant's job, you're doing lieutenant's work now. My command and control is that of at least 40 plus officers. I am responsible for response to pre-planned events, possible civil unrest, and any other situations that occur. I'm also responsible for purchasing equipment to the tune of several $100,000 on average per year. It requires me to be organized, competent in city policies, as well as knowledgeable in navigating with other city employees and other department employees. I'm also an ICAT instructor, and I believe in this. No one wants to get into an officer-involved shooting right now, so I'm proud to be part of something that gives officers tools and training to prevent officer-involved shootings. I think this is critical for officer wellness, as well as this is something that the community expects and demands of us. I believe in the sanctity of life because that is what the community is striving us to do. We've seen what can happen when we lose the public's trust. And I stand before you today, not simply wanting a pay raise, but because I believe in this department, I believe in this city, and it ties into my background of still wanting to serve the city that I grew up in. I want to be an effective lieutenant in the Minneapolis Police Department and have influence over the younger officers and do what I can to ensure that we regain the public's trust. Without the public's trust, we cannot be an effective police department. If we can't be an effective police department, we can't provide just and unbiased police service to the community that deserves it. I intend to be here and be part of the change and overcome the crisis that we're in and regain the public's trust. Thank you.